Welcome back to Teachings and Tangents, and welcome back to our 7-part series on the chakras. Today, we're talking about our heart chakra. We're on chakra number 4, and this chakra has so much power, both in its ability to help us balance in our mind, body, and soul, but also this chakra is housed in the location of our body that has the largest electromagnetic field in our body. People often think of the brain as being the, electromagnetic kind of center of our being, but our heart it expands so much further. We can communicate with our heart electromagnetically more readily than our brain, right? When you are reading somebody's aura or getting into someone's energetic field, right? You're feeling that heart more often than not. 100% times, right? This is why we often hear people saying, what you're saying and how you're behaving isn't really matching the vibe you're giving me, right? Is because our true sense, our true being is behaving, speaking, operating from here, and it goes out. And so we, depending on how you use your energy field and how you practice using it, sometimes we can make it really big and we can make it really small. Um, Different emotions and thoughts then send field to pull it in tight, right? You've get a sense some people are just really closed off, right? That is the communication method between the heart and the brain, and the heart is putting that out there. It is such a powerful chakra to work with. It helps us to balance the masculine and the feminine sides that everybody has. That's why it's considered this bridge. It helps us balance that masculine, feminine, the ether, the rooted sense, all of those together, as well as it makes this connection from the earthly to the spiritual, right? So then when we look at our chakras, the 7 chakras, and I will be using the slideshows again, so you'll be able to see all of them, you'll notice that the earth ones are underneath the chakra, and then more of that ether, spiritual, our third eye, our crown, spiritual connection is above. And so this heart chakra space connects that. And now when we think about our heart chakra, we think of the actual heart, like the little heart, and our love, and oftentimes people think it's romance, but it actually has a lot to do with love and compassion and emotional healing. This chakra, when in balance, it gives us the ability to give and receive love unconditionally. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with. Like when we think to babies, right? They are so readily to accept and receive love. It is in our um, electromagnetic field. It is part of our soul's journey. We're here. A lot of how we can, this is why inner child work is so important, because we have 0 to 7 is when our subconscious mind takes and develops coping mechanisms. And then our conscious mind plays them out, right? Our conscious mind is communicating to our subconscious mind, all right, this happened. From now on, we're doing this. From now on, we're keeping people away, and we're going to keep ourselves safe by not giving and receiving love, or by only giving love and not receiving it, or vice versa, right? You have a lot of people that are give, we people pleaser, codependencies, right? Codependency, we're actually feeling like we're getting something from it, but we're not. So with the heart chakra, its purpose is to help us to become open to love and compassion, first to ourselves and then to those around us, right? So the heart chakra is right here, and it's housed in this upper thoracic cavity, right? So it correlates to our lungs and our circulatory system, our heart, our chest, and not only the circulatory system of our blood and our lymph and our, but to our breath, right? So everything to keep us alive is passing through this chakra center. So it really is helpful for our mind, body, and soul. Again, for those four energetic bodies, if we keep this clear, open, and balanced. And it's like I said, we have to first find ways to love ourselves. Number one, we are in our own bodies, right? Everything around us, everything that you see as you wake up, the first thing you see when you wake up, you are filtering through your internal filters, which then means everything is a mirror. Everything is a mirror for you, right? So oftentimes we would say, she's such a lovely person, right? And what I want to express to you guys is that that's what you're feeling about yourself. And now when you say, oh, she seems a little nasty, that is something you're seeing that's in yourself and you don't like it. So our world is a mirror. Perception is projection. And I believe projection is perception. It's this like continuum. It's that infinity symbol. You will always see what you want to see. You're going to perceive what you're putting out there, right? So we need to take a look at what we have in here to help us experience and guide us to experience our time in an authentic, pure way and not convoluted with our own insecurities, right? So that's where we really work hard on our heart chakra, is to begin to love ourselves again. And when your heart chakra is in balance, and this is all, I hope I've expressed this, that all of the chakras have the ability to come in and out of balance, because we are human and we do have experiences that kind of guck us up and slow us down, right? So there will be times that you feel balanced in your root chakra, and there will be times when you feel unsafe, financially unsafe, unsafe in the relationships. It might be that you have times that your solar plexus is really murky and you're just questioning everything. What am I doing? Right. And then other times that your solar plexus is like on fire and you're like, I am in line with everything I'm supposed to be doing. That's the human experience. And if we learn how to help ourselves to balance and clear them, we can spend more time in a balanced state than not. And when we are in an unbalanced state, we'll have the tools, the nervous system regulation tools, the mindfulness tools, the mindset tools to help us, to help ourselves, right? So when you're balanced in your heart chakra, oh, and did I tell you I do have slides for today? So don't worry, they're coming. When we're balanced in our heart chakra, we are generous in giving. And do not confuse that with people pleasing or codependency. It is very easy to. I speak from personal experience as a healing people pleaser and codependency lover. I loved to be codependent, right? So we fall into patterns based off of seeking safety. Our whole existence is about how can I stay safe. Our brain and body and mind and soul are always in this. Am I safe or am I stressed? And what can I do to get over to feeling safe? And it may not always be the most productive or effective way, but we end up feeling safe because oftentimes safety is what's comfortable and it may not be what's right. If that makes sense. So generous and giving. It's very, no strings attached. Let me do this for you. And have we ever had people in our lives who are like, I lent her money and she didn't even say thank you. But I don't care. That whole thing, right? I made them dinner the other day and she hasn't even mentioned it to me, right? So it's having no strings attached, that unconditional love, that giving and receive, that ability to give and receive unconditionally with a pure heart, right? The ability to express and receive love and compassion with yourself and others. When you are not in this place of self-loathing and beating yourself up, when you're feeling self-love and self-respect, you are in a place of balance in your heart chakra. So when we are blocked, when we have some gook, when we are unbalanced in our heart chakra, oftentimes it presents as lonely, as feeling stuck, unfulfilled, a sense of an alienation from those around us, right? It is not lost on me that most of the women I work with, we are all in this midlife, right? And midlife is like 35 to 70. So during this time, we often enter this time at 35, 40 with that as a chief complaint. I'm so lonely and there's people around me and I don't even know why I feel so lonely, right? We often are having this imbalance in our heart chakra, right? We're feeling uninspired, no purpose. My kids are all grown. What am I going to do now? So much in our midlife we can work on from healing this chakra place, from finding and reigniting that love for ourselves first, because like we said, you love yourself, you're going to see love out in the world. When you're not feeling too in love with yourself, things aren't going to look that great on the outside, right? And so when you're blocked, like we talked about a little bit earlier, it's this people pleasing, codependency relationships, right? I need you to be happy for me to be happy. That's codependency. I need you to feel safe and then I'll feel safe. So my well-being is dependent upon yours. That's the codependency aspect that we often fall into. And sometimes, we have kids and I can't sleep until I know they're asleep or something along those lines, but it's transitioning into different stages of life that allow us to not fall into codependency. And when we're people pleasing, it is just full of resentment, and there's no forgiveness, there's no peace and love with that type of giving, right? There's no balance really. And that's the other part, is that heart this heart chakra is really about balance, that balance between the upper and lower, the balance between the earth and the spiritual. So, ways, and I'll get more into it with our slideshow, ways of bringing some balance, some equilibrium, getting that wheel to spin smoothly. Some of the ways that we can do that, kind of tangible ways, is to practice acts of kindness and compassion towards yourself and others, right? Spending time in nature. So the heart chakra is all about balance. And our biggest teacher about balance is nature. Nature has a balance that goes sometimes undetected, and sometimes it's in our face, and sometimes we don't understand it, but it is our best teacher, right? So, spending time in nature and really contemplating the small balances, the small examples of balance that you do see in nature, contemplating that will allow you then to see that in your life, your world, yourself, right? Another great way to begin to make sure that your heart chakra is in balance is to incorporate, bring in doing something or one or more things, right? Once a day, doing something you love. Bring something that you purely brings joy to you? Love every day. This is another big point and area that we work on in coaching is because people will come to me and say, I do things that I love every day, right? But we really have to pull back and look at our lives from a higher view. And are we just doing things because we think we should love them? Are we doing things because everybody else seems to think it's really fun, so I should really probably enjoy this, right? I remember during the pandemic, everybody was like, puzzles, puzzles. And I was like, I'm not into this right now. But that's not to say that at times puzzles don't bring me joy. But during the pandemic, I had to go, I'm feeling this pressure to really love puzzles, and I'm not. And so when I felt that pressure, I felt an unalignment in my heart chakra. And so I had to pull back and say, okay, wait, what am I forcing? Where am I forcing a passion, forcing a love? A lot of people fall into this with their employment. People stay in jobs and it's not bringing them joy. And it's something they're doing for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, right? So to incorporate something into your life every day, even if it's 2, 3 minutes, right? That you love, like pure joy, spark, love. I often will have women come and say, well, I do things that I love. I play tennis and I've played it forever and it's a game that I love. And we get clear. And then all of a sudden it's this aha moment of, yeah, I used to really love it. And now I just do it because I've always done it. Right. And personally, I have fallen into this with a hobby of mine, and that is knitting. Since my 20s, I've knitted and I've honored that ebb and flow of it being a source of joy, right? Because there's times I'm in the middle of a project and I'm like, this is just not doing it. So you put it aside. It's when people think, this is my habit. And remember, in coaching, we always talk about that our habits create our identity. So who do you want to be? And people say, this is my habit. This is what I do. This is just who I am. This is just what I do. And so they box themselves thinking that is the way to bring in spark and joy, but it's in pulling back and going, really taking inventory. What brings me joy? What am I doing in the hopes of joy? Is it bringing me joy, right? Number one thing we look at with coaching, right? Like most people come to coaching to either maintain amazing relationships, to maintain momentum, right? Or they're looking to gain things or shift things. And so we really need to take some inventory and look at what are those aspects of your life? Like, what are those spokes on your wheel, right? So, this is the chakra that you can really lean into for manifestation. And it goes back, the reason goes back to that it is the largest electromagnetic field in our body. It is all vibrational. So if you have something you want to manifest, pull in and use your heart chakra for that manifestation. Do some visualizations and begin with pulling your breath into this heart space, swirling it, you're calling in your intention. It's a very, very, very powerful chakra for manifestation. So we'll get into doing our slideshow. And let's see how this works here today. All right, here we are. So we're going to just take a quick peek at the list of the 7 chakras here, the symbols. And we are starting now at chakra number 4 in our heart space, this gorgeous green chakra. And again, a little review here of all of the chakras, the numbers, the symbols. This is the number of the lotus petals. This is what mantra or affirmation goes with that chakra. And this would be our final line here are the elements. So just a quick review. If today is your first day with us, you can go back and watch the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus. And here we are today for our heart chakra. All right, like we talked about, where that green dot is, it is the chest, the front, and the back. Anxiety often comes with some panic, and we often feel the panic in our chest and our back. Anxiety is this sense of fear, and fear is often represented or often is representing where we think we will be missing out, or we won't get something we want, or something we have will be taken away from us. So that's where this lack of balance often can cause anxiety and panic in people. And now I am by no means am saying, do some heart chakra meditations and your anxiety will be gone. No, but I am saying it is the largest electromagnetic field, and we can really lean into that. I mean, anxiety and panic attacks, that is for you and your team, your doctors, your coaches, your therapists to work with you on. But we often feel that here, and we can pay attention to that. We may be able to sense a little discomfort and do something before it escalates, right? And so the number of this chakra is 4. And it's not lost on all of my angel number lovers and numerology people. Number 4 is stability, which is balance, right? When you're stable, you have balance. So that again, all of the um, modalities intertwine in a lot of teachings and learnings, like we mentioned, I think in the first episode. A lot of different practices have some sort of correlation to these chakras. They may not call them chakras, they may not call them exactly what we're talking about them today underneath this type of learning, but they all overlap. It's number 4 is stability, which the heart chakra is about balance. Just find it so neat, right? So now I'm gonna jump ahead and then go back because I want to show you guys the symbol for the heart chakra. And if you watched the other ones, we talked about what's in the center here. We have our lotus petals that go around, and the heart chakra has 12. A little quick thing about a little quick kind of phrase right up there that you can use to remember the heart chakra or to keep in balance if you want to just say it every day. Judge less and accept more. Remember to start with yourself. Judge yourself less and accept yourself more, and that would mirror out into your physical world, right? So inside of our lotus petals, we have the hexagon here, which is when drawn like this, we pull it apart and it's a triangle and then an upside down triangle. And this represents the bridge. It's the representation of, like we talked about, the lower and the upper chakras merging in this space. It's also the unification of the masculine and feminine. It's the balancing of the masculine and feminine in our body. It's that marriage of earthly feelings as well as spiritual feelings. It's just this meeting point for so many things. It really encompasses a lot, and a lot of ways that we can say, okay, this is how I'm going to work with my heart chakra today, by looking at my life and saying, have I been really masculine? Have I been really taking in? I often look at my business in the sense of what's masculine and what's feminine, and do I have a balance? Because I often come into my coaching business very feminine, and I don't have a lot of the masculine energy around running a business. So I work on that to balance it. So you could take a look at that even in your personal relationships. Are you heavy into the masculine? And if so, how does that balance with your partner, and how is it balancing in you? When we often show up heavy masculine, heavy feminine, we aren't honoring parts of our body, parts of our soul, our mind, and then we're out of balance. So we'll go back to this slide to talk about the lotus petals. And these 12 lotus petals for the heart chakra, I'll read them out here for you, but it's bliss, peace, harmony, love, understanding, empathy, clarity, purity, unity, compassion, kindness, and forgiveness. These are the qualities, the feelings, the what we're going to strive for when we look at balancing our heart chakra, right? We wanted to bring in that peace. How can we bring in peace? We want to bring in bliss. Remember that love, right? That feeling of this is bringing me so much joy, harmony in our life, right? That unity, the compassion and forgiveness. We want to make sure that we are bringing in these elements, if not daily, right? Let's try for weekly, but really try to bring in, to balance your heart chakra, find ways to create each of these into your daily life. And sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's really just saying, okay, I'm going to consciously come into this conversation with understanding, right? Or I'm going to make an effort to perform one act of kindness for myself today and one act of kindness for somebody else. And now you may end up doing 20, but to have that intention at the beginning of the day, you're bringing in a conscious effort, that you're bringing in that vibration for that field, your electromagnetic field for your heart chakra. Now, when we do the heart chakra mantras, love, I am open to love. um, I want to give and receive love freely. And we want to pull in maybe some of that nature, right? I love the beauty and peace I see in nature. Whenever I talk about mantras, I'm sure I've done it the last times and I'll do it again. Affirmations and mantras are useless unless you believe them. And this is our logical mind. This is our conscious mind. We may, on a subconscious level, believe that you can love, that you have the ability to love. But somewhere along the line, consciously, you discovered that you had this feeling around falling in love, you didn't want to do it. So your conscious mind tells your subconscious mind, and then it runs it. And when we do subconscious work, we tap into the original subconscious programming and we reprogram it so that you then feel those original feelings of I am love. I am open to it. I am willing. We're going to use those words that help us bridge the gap to believing it, right? I'm worthy of love. Some people have a very, very hard time saying that. They don't believe it. Somewhere their conscious mind does not believe they're worthy of it. So we say, I'm willing to learn to be worthy of love. I want to be worthy of love. We're going to create phrases so that we believe it and go to the closest point that you can believe when you're creating your mantras for your heart chakra or any of the others. So the element is air. And this is beautiful because it is in that space of our lungs. And so we can always, for any of the chakras, connect to our breath. And our breath is our first and our last friend. So you be nice to her and she'll be nice to you. A good friend, right? So always start with connecting to your breath and knowing that that's in that space, that flow, that ether, right? The air will be part of your healing mechanism to bring it in through the breath, right? Sometimes when you're out in nature, watch the air, watch the air. See it move the grass, see it move the trees. The other day, I was doing a meditation out in the backyard and doing this, watching and noticing nature and finding the balance. And this wind came and I felt it first. And then I was watching this bird and I saw the wind like kind of like flutter and move the bird's feather. And I was like, it's just so beautiful. Anyways, that's what I did. So Now we get into all the fun stuff that I'm getting such feedback. People love this because we live in a world where we want to find a way to do this and make connections quickly. And so maybe you're like, okay, tell me, what can I eat? Right. Well, we know we can now throw on a green shirt. Green, so I don't know if I went over the color is green, right? But it's also sometimes pink, it's sometimes red, it's sometimes purple. This one traditionally is green, but you are going to correlate what color you want because it's what you love. So what color represents love to you is the one you'll choose. But the colors of the fruits and the vegetables are that green. And my favorite one is the watermelon because it is this representation of balance. And it's got the pink and the red and the green, right? Already in it. Watermelon is such a beautiful healing food for our heart chakra. And it's the balance of the hard green rind with the soft, juicy center that's pink, right? And you've got it all there together and you've got the colors, right? So you've got such balance right in there. It's beautiful. And I love when you find imperfections in your fruits and vegetables because it just reminds us of that balance and imperfection, that harmony, right? Harmony isn't necessarily balanced. Harmony works together. And that we can often find in nature too. It's gorgeous when you notice how things can be very harmonious, this ebb and flow, give and take, right? So, avocados, kiwi, green apples, watermelon, like I said, pears and grapes, whatever green foods are calling to you, tons of herbs fall into this, obviously. And then we have our vegetables, and you'll notice, well, I'll go through them here. We've got celery, arugula, green beans, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, all your leafy greens, right? I had a teacher once point out, and I always just thought it was so amazing that a lot of the fruits and vegetables for the heart chakra, not only are they green, but they're often connected to detoxing, right? They've got that the detoxing, whether it's, the celery and arugula are a little like bitter, right? So it's all of these detoxing and clarifying vegetables and fruits that we want to bring in for our heart center. And the planet is Venus. And we often think of Venus as Venus, the goddess of love, and it's romance, right? But ultimately, it's this balance of love. It's the love that we give and receive is where we can find that pure romantic love. It's not in a fleeting relationship, right? So we want to look at how we can bring that balance for love of ourself to reflect outwards for love of others. Crystals, again, you can choose. It's amazing because some people put in this list rubies, right? Ruby red, love, and rose quartz is always the love stone, right? Self-love stone. Malachite is this beautiful, I think it's actually the one that I chose for over here. Gorgeous green stone that has so many colors of green in it. It's gorgeous. And then Amazite and Green Adventure is they're all these green stones that can bring harmony and balance. We have now our yoga poses and stretches. And remember, this is not medical guidance or any sort of don't do it if you can't, pretty much. So the first one here is any chest opening exercises, whether you want to lie down on a foam roller and have it open up your chest, you lie down on the bench. Some people lie down on their bed and let their head and neck fall open. Anything that's going to open your heart. If you do practice yoga, you'll find that most classes incorporate heart opening exercises because this is the area that we'll hunch our shoulders in and protect our heart. So we want to open it up to allow that space in there. So we have the cobra, which has been in some of our earlier ones as well. But this is this girl right here, and you see she's opening her chest. Again, the bow and the camel, you can use modifications. What these two little pictures are doing are the full poses. Definitely do to the extent that's comfortable for you. Use a strap. However that works, we're just opening up and opening up that space and allowing some movement into it. And now, like all of our chakra videos here. We're going to get some prompts. With our heart chakra, we often do what's called shadow work. And shadow work isn't necessarily shadow, like it's the bad side of us. It's like that shadow lurking. It's the part that is in the shadows. We don't show people, we're hiding, right? Or and we're hiding it either because we feel it's vulnerable, or maybe we do think that it's a scary part and we don't want to show people, right? So it's looking at ourselves, right? So when we first start off here, it's that we want to ask ourselves, what does loving myself look like to me? How do I love myself, right? But we want to first find out is, how do I want to love myself? What does that look like? It's going to look different for everybody. Some people love to do things that care for their body over their mind or their soul. What does love look like for you? Some people automatically think, I love to go get massages and pedicures. And other people are like, do not touch my feet. What love looks like to me is reading a book when I'm by myself, allowing myself that escape. What does it look like to you? Right. And then we want to look outside. How do I show people? How do I show love to people? How do I show people that I love them? What are my acts of kindness? How am I showing people, right? Sometimes these give us a pause to say, you know what, I may not be behaving exactly as I really want to. My habits that I have aren't supporting the identity of who I want to be. I'm not showing people I love them in the way that I want to, or I'm not showing myself I love myself in the way that I want to, right? And again, we want to bring in balance and harmony. Where and how can I create some harmony in my life, some balance, right? Are we go, 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 go all the time? And that when we're like, oh, enough, it's like that. It's like it's not even relaxing isn't even relaxing because it's just so forceful and needed because we've been go, 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 right? Where and how can you create balance? The next 2 points here get a little bit into the shadow work, right? Describe a time when you chose to put your needs first. I had a client that could not think of a time. At 65, could not think of a time that she put herself first. And that is not very uncommon, right? That's really common in this day and age of how we're living, right? And so if you can, think of a time when you chose to put yourself first, and then spend pulling back. Remember, when we do these, we kind of want to pull back a little bit and say, how did that feel? What was that like? Was it like gross and I hated it, or did it feel really good and I want more of it? No right or wrong answer. This is all with non-attachment and non-judgment. It's just information for how we can begin to heal, right? So what did it feel like? And now this one I find challenging. It's okay though. We work through it. Reflect on a person who causes you frustration or disturbs your peace. So that's the first part. We're just going to reflect. We're just going to think about it. We're going to sit with it and think about that person and think about how they cause me frustration and think about how they're disturbing my peace. I'm just reflecting, but again, with non-attachment and non-judgment. So I'm not going to get into it and then relive it, right? That is not what's happening. I'm observing. I'm an observer in this exercise. So I'm going to reflect on that. And then take an opportunity to just write a letter to them, forgiving them. You don't have to send it, you don't have to share it. And then notice what happens. What happens on your inside? How does that feel? How did that feel to spend some time trying to create a little balance, right? Because when we often have feelings towards somebody of frustration or annoyance or aggravation that they're stealing our peace, how can we bring in balance of a little forgiveness, right? I'm not saying that you have to go and like bring them an apple pie or something, but just how to bring in a little bit of feeling, a little bit of movement for balance and harmony. We're going to end today with a card pulling. All right. So we have our deck here, the Chakra Insight Oracle deck, and I have pulled out all of our heart chakra cards. And so I've been shuffling them before, setting space for our time together. And I'm going to just shuffle them and pull a card for the collective. Take it, leave it. What we can do with any of this information is take what's useful, leave the rest. But the good thing is you know where it is. So if you want to come back and get something else, you can. Like a buffet, right? All right, here we go. Oh, it's love. It's this little puppy dog. Love, kindness, 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 benevolence. Oh my God, I need my glasses. Benevolence, sharing and receiving, love. All right, let's see what the book has to tell us. If you're into numbers, this is number 24. Kindness, benevolence, sharing, and receiving. All right, by awakening your true love of self, you ignite your ability to give and receive true love in your world. We talked about this, people. We talked about how we have to find it in ourselves so that we can start seeing it out there. Notice the observations you have in your head, right? I've healed so much with noticing my judgment of others because it's in me. It's what I'm judging about myself, or it's what I like or don't like about myself. So we get so much information from that. All right. Love is the most healing, harmonizing, and awakening energy to ever move through our bodies. When we're able to give, to truly give and receive love with no attachment, we ignite an inner flame within ourselves that energizes and illuminates every aspect of our life. What we often fail to realize is that the love we most seek is to experience the love that radiates divinity. It's a love that comes from deep within ourselves. So we are all trying to awaken this self-love because ultimately it's, have you ever had, I've a few clients have said this to me, and I remember saying it to myself, and when I hear myself say it now, I know what it means and I know what to do about it. But have you ever had that feeling of isolation and you say, I just want to go home, and you're already home? It's you want to go home to yourself, to your connection to the divine, your connection to God, your connection to the universe. That's what you're longing for, is that home, that home. So keep an eye out for those inner feelings, and can't wait to dive into the throat chakra with you all next week. If you guys have any questions on the heart chakra or a specific question about what you're dealing with the heart chakra, reach me through email. My information is down below, or even drop a message here because I guarantee somebody else is probably feeling exactly what you're feeling too. All right, we will see you next week.